throughout my high school years and going into college, I had really rejected God. I thought I knew all there was to know about God, and I wasn't interested. For some reason, it didn't click to me, and I had seen it clicking for a lot of other people, and I honestly felt kind of betrayed by that. I'm like, why am I not getting it, or what's wrong with me? And I think I was making it all about me when really it's not about what I've done. And that was the biggest barrier to me knowing Jesus. But he graciously showed it to me on the college campus. A girl in my sorority, which is a very lost place on the college campus. In Arkansas, there's 450 girls in every sorority. So tons of girls that are all partying together, living the college scene to the max. And that was really attractive to me at first. And then it wasn't, it got old. And eventually a girl in my sorority shared the gospel with me, and she really explained to me what Jesus means, the significance of me being made right with God, and how it's not about what I've done and solely about what Jesus has done. And that really transformed my life completely. It let me put hope, an eternal hope, in Jesus. And so I'm pumped about getting to kind of share that life change story, because my life radically transformed after God worked in huge ways. So I'm pumped to share that with other college girls who maybe they grew up in church, maybe they didn't, but get to hear the gospel message and hopefully live for Christ for eternity.
So the last couple of years you've been involved in a ministry called Student Mobilization.
Yes.
And, as a leader, servant, Bible study leader, whatever, talk a little bit about what you have done on the campus as an undergrad.
Yeah. So right after I accepted Christ at a winter conference that the ministry holds on, I got really plugged into just a Bible study right away and was just knowing the foundations. It's almost like I was relearning things I had learned as a child, but this time with fresh eyes that were eager to learn it. Then I went to this summer program called Kaleo, and basically that's where you learn the foundations of the Bible, and you work down there with other students from your school. And that was huge in learning the foundation of what it means to follow God, and also what it means to share that with other people. So coming back to campus, I was just really excited to share that with my sorority sisters. And I think a verse that really guided me was 2 Timothy 2:2, which we had talked about, but it's, and the things that you have heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to reliable people who will also be qualified to teach others. So that multiplication effect was something that I wanted to be a part of, and it really is a privilege to be a part of that. If you even think about the 12 disciples until now and spreading God's kingdom, it's really just exciting to think about the ways that God moves through people. And so I just started practically sharing the gospel with girls in my sorority. I would meet them at events, hang out with them. I would be like, hey, I want to tell you about how my life has been transformed, and I would show them scripture and walk them through establishers and invite them to our weekly meetings, and honestly just be there through their development journey after. So I got to kind of lead that within my sorority. Me and the girl who led me to Christ were actually the first two in our sorority to lead a Bible study there or share the gospel in that specific area on campus. And so it was kind of pioneering the way and watching God do things that we never thought would happen, and it was really exciting. So while I'm on the college campus, I'll basically be doing what I did as a student just then, leading Bible studies, sharing the gospel, recruiting them to come to our events, different things like that, which also, hey, you learn those skills at KOV, all about the pumping people up for it. But I'll also be doing that within, a full-time level, so I'll be with 3 different sororities instead of 1. Some of my coworkers will be over sports teams or over dorms or different things like that, but I get to specialize with sorority girls because I was a sorority girl, so cool, I get to relate to them, and I will be engaging with them, which basically just means building relationships, hanging out with them. I'll be helping establish them like I had mentioned, so leading Bible studies in those sororities, sharing biblical truth with them, showing them biblical foundations for what it means to even follow God, and then hopefully, the hope is equipping, and then watching them do the same thing that I got to do with them and teach them, and then them teaching other people and multiplying it, and then exporting. So after they've been developed in college all these years in the ministry, seeing them go impact St. Louis for Christ, or go impact overseas in the Philippines for Christ, wherever their next step is, just being a part of that mobilization, student mobilization journey. So
you're going to arrive at the Missouri State campus, And then they give you a uniform, so everybody says, "Hey, there's the Christian girl." I mean, what are the inroads?
Yeah, so we actually have like students that are involved in the ministry. Like it's been there for about 10 years now. So there are a few students in most of the areas that are involved in STUMO. So they're kind of the in initially, where it's like, okay, Emily can get me into this sorority house and I can go eat lunch with all of them and get to know them, or go to their bid day and celebrate them, or different things like that. And then also just boldness and being willing to like sit in the cafeteria and meet students, or sit on the Union Mall and just meeting students, because honestly students are really excited to engage in conversation, especially after this year with the pandemic. Everyone is just craving connection, and so honestly college students love when people talk to them and actually ask them questions and want to get to know them. So that's kind of the end.
How can people engage with you financially to help bring the gospel to Springfield, Missouri, and college kids that are coming from St. Louis and all the different places? How can they plug in with you?
Yeah, so I am doing full-time ministry, so all day, every day, and I have the accountability aspects of it. I'm doing it with a team, which is fun, but in able to do it all day, every day, I have to support raise. And so kind of how that looks is monthly partnerships, so any amount that people feel comfortable, or annual partnerships, aka having an incoming salary and ministry funds, that kind of thing. So that's what the actual financial aspect of it is, and it's really easy. It's just on a website or sending a check to the office, and I can help walk people through that process. And then also being on my newsletter list and getting my prayer request and typing any prayer requests that people may have, so that I can be praying for my support team, because I really do consider a privilege to have a support team of people who actually want to see this next generation impacted for Christ, and to see leaders that are built up from the college campuses going to their job or to the workforce, or going to be a missionary and caring about God's kingdom being multiplied. So
your name is Carolyn Smith.
that is my name.
But you are a Renaud.
I am a Renaud, kind of.
So people here at Southgate will track with your mother's maiden name.
Yes, Joan Renaud.
And so you grew up over at Lighthouse Church with our friend Bob and Dorothy Wells. Talk a little bit about the extended Renaud clan.
That they dominate all of St. Louis. They're everywhere. You're probably going to meet a Renaud or a married in Renaud at some point in your St. Louis journey, which is really sweet. And honestly, they're an incredible example of what it means to love the Lord actively. And so I feel like it's a privilege to be a part of the family. But yeah, when I say the word Renaud, most people know at least one of my family members, which is fun.
But talk about your long-term commitment there at Missouri State, and your desire and passion for that.
Yeah, the main reason that I signed a 3-year commitment is because I want to be a part and want God to use me to be a part of a multiplying movement. So it's just kind of like you get to see over the years how people that you get to develop and pour into are also pouring into other people, and just be a part of establishing. It's kind of like a mini church plant in a way, because you're making sure they're developed and actually able to teach others what they're doing. So I get to be a part of that for 3 years. Kind of like how I like to explain it is, there was a girl named Natalie at the University of Arkansas who did not grow up in church and had actually never heard the gospel practically played out or seen it played out in her life. So a girl shared the gospel with her in her sorority, and she started following Christ. She then moved into a freshman girls' dorm as an RA. She shared the gospel with a girl named Carly, who's on her floor. Same thing. Grew up in Texas, but didn't grow up in church and had no access to personally knowing the gospel. Then Carly gets pumped up and wants to see girls in my sorority know Christ, and that's when Carly met me and impacted my life. And then I then came in the next fall after accepting Christ, and I had been really equipped at that summer program of just learning how to share the gospel actively. And so I started doing that in my sorority and got to see girls from all different walks either accept Christ or develop in their walk with Christ and be a part of discipleship, and then do ministry with them and see other girls come to know Christ because, Danny shared the gospel with someone else, or Ashley started discipling a girl named Peyton. And so just seeing like that specific development and how it spreads out.
We can all have zeal or excitement, but you've already watched it happen and been doing it. I mean, to me, that's the thing that is exciting, because you're not going in as a well, I hope this kind of works. You know,
There's a lot of strategy too.
well, there's strategy to it, but you've lived the strategy at some level. As a good steward, I want to sow into good soil so that good things happen, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think about the stories you told me the other day, and we just retouched them here, they're like real life human beings that are now today walking with the Lord, and not just they came to my meeting. We had 8 people at the meeting, but this girl is impacting this girl, and so forth.
Yeah.
A final thing. So sororities are like not the holiest of places. I was in a college fraternity and all that. Talk about what I think it's a crying need in Greek life on campuses, and particularly, I mean, fraternities are different than sororities, but they're similar. But the desperation in the lives of young women that are in those sororities.
Yeah, I think that is a huge thing that fuels me going onto the college campus, because there is just so much brokenness, and in college you have all this independence, so you can just continue seeking out the same things that are leading you to brokenness. So whether that's the classic party scene, or hard drugs, or different ideology, whatever it may be, there's just so many different avenues to pursue. And so there is a huge need, because this is a time in their lives, 18 to 22 years old, where you're open to whatever comes your way. And so let it be the good news of Jesus that enters their way, because that will change everything. So